Hi, my name is James Given. I'm the outreach manager for Total War.
I got a chance to see this at PAX, and one of the things I thought was really cool was the emphasis on heroes and how they relate to each other.
It's absolutely amazing. So the way that works in combat is huge. The dueling mechanic in Total War Three Kingdoms is something we've never done before, and the way that it can influence battles is huge. You can have characters who wins these duels will go on to give such a buff to the troops and retinue that they command that they will maybe be able to win a battle that they're completely outnumbered from. So it gives you an opportunity when the odds are against you. Seek out one of their enemy characters, bring them to a duel, beat them, and then maybe that will swing the battle in your favor. That's something we've never done before. And the motion cap we put into it as well with the Wushu martial arts, absolutely amazing. You can find yourself paying so much attention to the duels, but you could lose the battle. So don't look at them too much, but they are spectacular and something you should, indulge yourself a few times in looking. But when it comes to characters overall, this is where the big flavor for Total War Three Kingdoms is. We've shown it off in battle, but later on we'll show it off in campaign as well. But that's where the real soul of the story is in Total War Three Kingdoms.
Nice. This is your first time going to China for a game as well, correct?
Yeah, we've never gone to China before, but it's not the first game we've ever done in Asia before. Total War started with Shogun, but this is our first time in China, first time visiting this kind of history. China's got a history of 5,000 years of massive, vast history, and it's absolutely brilliant for us to be able to finally make a game set in that period.
Nice. This is set during the War of the Three Kingdoms, right?
Yeah, the Three Kingdoms period. You're starting off a bit earlier before the Three Kingdoms actually are established, but you can lead to that point very easily with all the characters like Cao Cao and like Liu Bei and so on.
Nice. Now I know a lot of my history buff friends, they like to sort of play through Total War games as historically accurate as possible. They sort of want to. Sort of like they're forcing history to replay itself. Like, is that something that you're going to be able to do once again with Three Kingdoms?
We always want you to be able to play the way you want to play it, and loads of people want to play it historically. We give them all the tools to allow them to do it. But it's a sandbox. You make it what you want it to be. And a Total War game very quickly can become crazy alternative history in a way that, this faction controls the world or whatever. It's up to you what you want to make it. And that's the beauty of a Total War game. It is complete sandbox. There are narrative threads that push you in certain directions that you can decide to do or not. But there's always whatever you want to make it, really.
Nice. So we talked about the duel system. What are some of the other new features that are coming to Three Kingdoms? Like what else is new? What's being integrated?
Mainly, we're only talking about battle right now. We'll talk about a bit more about campaign in the future. But some of the best stuff is all about the characters. Always on the characters right now. So we have a whole new relationship system of how characters are. So you got to remember that the period of Three Kingdoms, it used to be a united country, and then it separated, fractured, broke apart. Characters had friends and enemies before this all kicked off. So as your campaign develops, you'll have friendships with certain characters that will give you buffs and bonuses from having them with you, but you'll also have enemies, and those enemies will develop throughout the campaign from either a battle you fought against them, or maybe they killed one of your friends in battle, and then this relationship starts shifting all the way through. So say you're very militaristic, very expansionist, maybe one of your characters in your army doesn't like that, and maybe he'll leave because he's unsatisfied with how you're playing your campaign. He'll go off to another faction. These things will always be happening throughout the game. You're also able to put a spy into enemy factions. So the way this works is your character, for example, say you have a character who's very good at spying, someone who's good at lying. You can put him into the character pool which every faction picks from. He can then join that, picked out by that faction, given a generalship or a governorship, and slowly but surely, the longer he's in that faction, the more his network grows, and the bigger he's able to, the bigger impact he can have on that faction. The end goal from that, you be taking money from them, you can be, giving yourself vision on the campaign, stuff like that. But the end goal, one thing you can do, if he gets to the top level and becomes a faction heir, You can start a civil war in that faction and break it in two. These are all things that can be done within the character system, just the character system in Total War Three Kingdoms.
So we're talking the long game subterfuge.
Yeah, you get that strategy. You can play the long game. But there's also the crazy things that can happen. If that character is caught spying, or say you capture an enemy spy, you're given options. You can either release that spy, you can kill him, or you can send him back to the faction as a double agent to spy for you. It's just crazy, the amount of stuff you'll be doing. And that gives you a level of depth that have never been there in a Total War game.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a lot of inherent strategy, whether you're talking the battle modes or you're talking the overworld map. But yeah, that sounds like a new form of deception that you really haven't seen. Like, there have been spies and assassins, but it was always sort of like take the option and then let them go off, right?
Yeah. Exactly, and it's all giving you more options on how you want to play your campaign, but also how the way that the campaign can affect you as a player going through it. Like, you won't be completely immune to other people putting spies in your faction, or from characters leaving or joining your faction. All these things will happen organically through your campaign.
Nice, and I'm taking it like a lot of the standard stuff, like factions with different sort of affinities and checks and balances are all going to be present as well.
There's so much, when it comes to showing off campaign, it is going to be insane. We got so much to show there, so many options, and that's something we'll be able to talk about a bit later. But if I'm a Total War fan, I'd be super excited about what's coming.
Nice. You guys have a few factions, or not factions, but units that you've announced as well. What are some of those new units, and how do they sort of affect the overall balance of gameplay?
So we're back to historical. This is our first big historical game since doing Warhammer 1, Warhammer 2. So a lot more of our focus is kind of capturing that feel of ancient China and ancient Chinese warfare. So it's a lot of crossbows invented in China, trebuchets invented in China. These are going to be prominent on the battlefield. Incredibly deadly. You're going to see all of that. You're also going to see the cavalry. Cavalry hugely influential on the battlefield in China. So all of the things you would expect from a classic historical Total War game, in that the spears, the swords, the cavalry, the range weapons, all that. But the way that that's changing is that the characters themselves have retinues, and the way that the retinues work is, imagine you're not dealing with England or France or Germany. You're dealing with small regions or warlords that have come to power, and they're raising troops up. They're following the warlords. They're not following a country or a nation at this point. They're following strongmen, and they follow these people into battle. So each battle you have a maximum of 3 heroes, which will have their retinue. So that'll be between 4 and 6 troops that follow that person, all within a faction for sure. But if my cavalry general dies, and his retinue, they'll lose a huge amount of morale because of it. To be less effective in battle. So what that does is, yes, you've got cavalry, yes, you've got spears, yes, you've got swords. That whole the combination has always made the historical Total War games what they are and their strengths. But with the added character depth and retinue system, it completely changed how it plays.